Now Mrs. Mogherini has the floor.
Thank you, President. And let me thank you for the debate. I was surprised when I heard that some of you, many of you, were thanking me. I mean, that's part of my responsibility, my role being here. And it's also useful for me being here and listening to this debate. But I get to our institutional and political relationship at the end, when I will maybe touch upon the way forward. As some of you have mentioned rightly, the need for common work in the future. Let me start by saying that very sincerely and from really my heart, that this debate this afternoon shows not only that this is, as some of you mentioned, one of the most difficult issues on foreign policy in Europe. I'm afraid we might have many of those, but it's not definitely the easiest one to start with. But on the other side, let me very frankly say that this debate this afternoon mirrors the debate that is there in the region. And this is worrying to me, because I think that this debate this afternoon shows that our frustration and even our sense of desperation is deep, and that we risk to be trapped in the false illusion of us needing to take one side. And we could not make worse mistake than this. You will never, never convince me that, and I'm sure many of you, majority of you in this room don't want to convince me, but you will never convince me that you can be pro-Israelis without also being pro-Palestinians, and you can be pro-Palestinians without being pro-Israelis. The best way of helping the Israeli people is to build a Palestinian state, and the best way of helping the Palestinian people is to secure Israel's security. We have the responsibility to facilitate the dialogue between two parts, two camps, and in the two camps to strengthen those that want dialogue and want and understand that they have to live together, that they have to share a land, and that they do share an interest. If we lose lucidity, if we lose our capacity not to be trapped in the conflict, inside the conflict ourselves, we lose our possibility to play this role. And there are not many international actors that are able to play this role. So we are bearing with us a responsibility. You know, what I find dangerous of this conflict is two things. One is that, as someone said, it's too many decades it's going on. I was born when this conflict was already there. We are getting used to it, and this is dangerous. The second element that is worrying, and it's making things very complicated, is there is too much history and too little future in the debate. Also here in Europe, someone said, we are somehow responsible. Barbara Spinelli was saying that. We bear an historic responsibility as Europeans of a part of the roots of this debate. And so here it comes, a debate among us that mirrors the historical, sometimes historical going back hundreds or thousands years, of how you get out of this trap. And I will always remember one of the best conversations I've had in the region, was not with a politician, but with a writer, with a novelist, that told me, you know, we are like trapped in a bubble. We need someone from the outside that pinch the bubble and let us out. And this is our role. This can be our role if we keep the awareness of the responsibility that we bear. And it is not only an historical responsibility, but to me, it's a responsibility for the future. So I am, and I will always be, friend of Israel and friend of Palestine, and will always work to show that this is the only way of being friends of both and of each of them. And I would really like that we manage to develop this awareness together, because this is what the Israelis and the Palestinians need in order for us to convince them and to help them, being not friends, difficult, but at least make it possible for them to share their land and their future. What is our role? It's not an interference. I've heard someone saying we should not interfere. This is not for the European Union to do anything about that. This is either for member states or leave them alone. This is our role is to also take care of our neighborhood, of our region. It's our neighbors. For many of our member states, for many of our countries, and for us. It's our sea, the Mediterranean. Middle East is close, and our relations to both the Palestinians, the Israelis, and to many of the countries that are concerned by the conflict are so strong that this is our business, definitely so, definitely so. So it's not a matter of interference, it's a matter of playing our role in a responsible and an effective way. I've heard many of you referring to the fact that, yes, we have to discuss about the recognition of the state, we have to discuss about the talks, the negotiations. Still, I feel that many of you might share my vision, which is that neither the recognition of the state and even the negotiations are not a goal in itself. The goal in itself is having a Palestinian state in place and having Israel living next to it. But the point, the question mark that you have debated here, and some of you have said, I don't have an answer, and maybe we all together as an international community don't still have an answer completed on which are the right steps to do in which order. I think the debate this afternoon reflects this very well, this questioning ourselves. What is the right order for our steps to be taken? What is clear in my mind is that we cannot just sit and wait, because sit and wait is not keeping the status quo. Sit and wait is bringing us to closing the doors to further negotiations and to the peace process. It's not going anywhere if we just don't do anything. It's going bad and bad and bad and bad. What are the steps? In my opinion, and what I've heard today, I get this as an element for my future work. To strengthen inside the two camps, the political leaders and the communities, not only the political leaderships, but also the communities, because society has a role to play here, that are committed and that are capable to deliver peace and to work on peace. Elmar Brok was mentioning the fact that not all, both in Israel and in Palestine, want the two states. And we have to be aware of that, because more and more, both in the Palestinian side and in the Israeli side, are talking about a one-state solution. And we have to be aware of that. It has not come out here, but it is coming out there. It might not be the case that our vision for the future stays the same for decades. It's deteriorating, also for us. So first, find the better ways to support those internally in the camps, in the two camps, that are committed, and help them show into their own public opinion that this path is delivering for their own public opinion. And this is the big question mark we have to answer to. What is the best way to strengthen and make credible the people that on both sides believe still that peace is possible there? Second, I believe that we have to, as some of you have recalled, work with the region. This sounds familiar today. It was not as normal only a few years ago, but I think, and that's why the peace initiative in 2002 didn't go far, but I think now this is something we all agree on. We need to work with the countries in the region. And some of you and Madame Ayou-Marie have invited me, but also others, to come back here or to tell today about a detailed plan. I think it would not be probably serious enough from my side, after 3 weeks in office, to come here in this room, in this hemicycle, and give you my detailed plan for peace in the Middle East. You would not believe me, and you would be right. But what I can tell you, and what I can share with you today, is the main political elements of the efforts that the European Union is doing, which are the ones that I described in the beginning, and some of those that I am underlining now, and a roadmap. A roadmap with the Middle East is not really working. A plan, a way, steps that we can work on. And the commitment to come back here in this hemicycle and not only update you with the steps taken, given the fact that I believe that the European Union has a role to play, not alone, because we have to be aware of the fact that, yes, we do have a role to play, yes, we do have a role to play without necessarily sitting and waiting others to call at us a table. We can initiate processes, but we need to work with those international actors, starting from the United States and from the Arab countries, and from the UN, starting from the UN Security Council. And I would mention here a country that no one mentioned in the room, but is there in the UN Security Council and in the Quartet, Russia, to work together to restarting a process, but not for the sake of negotiations. This is another trap we have to escape. Negotiations are something good because while we have a process going on, violence is less evident or less likely to happen. But I believe that we also run the risk of recalling for negotiations for the sake of the process. And this is eroding the credibility of the process itself. We need the process to bring a result, and especially on the Palestinian side, but also on the Israeli side. The criticism about the process and the talks is, yes, but what does it bring to our people? And we need to make sure that the process and the talks deliver something very concrete for both parts, not in the far future, but immediately, something immediately. In this framework, I think we can further discuss, and we will do it, for sure you will do it here in this hemicycle, we will do it also with the member states, and we will do it also with our partners internationally, because I believe that all our diplomatic efforts need to be together with the others. I will mention another point that was raised by someone. We have other two challenges that are really European ones. One is anti-Semitism. I would invite you to work, I know you are working on that already, but I would be ready to work with you on that, because I think we have a major challenge there that put at risk our own sense of communities in Europe, and we have a parallel risk, which is that of Islamophobia. When we trend to associate, or in our societies, there is the trend to associate Islam and terrorism, or Arab societies and terrorism. We have to decouple the religious element and the political element, not only in the Middle East, but also in Europe. And I think here we have a cultural and not only a political challenge we can face. I know very well that as the European Parliament, for me, is a central body of the European institutions, it also has its autonomy, and I would respect it. So my attitude today, and for tomorrow and for the next 5 years, as we share the time of mandate, is and will always be to share, to listen, to decide together, if not officially politically, but to respect your autonomy. The decision whether to take a vote on the resolution or not is your decision, is not my decision, and will never be, cannot be my decision. I will respect always your decisions. I will always respect the outcome of your decisions and try to work together hand in hand. As someone was saying, I will also try to be as innovative as it is possible and hope that you can help me in this. I would invite you to use your power, which is not a little one. it's a big one, to support and to shape this role of the European Union in the Middle East. I believe that it's up to you to work on a united, sorry it's boring, I know, but you can leave I think if you're too bored, united, strong and useful resolution or decision. I think this would be not just a reflection of your debate, this could be a useful political tool for the European Union. So be aware of the fact that this is going to be, as many of you have mentioned, a real contribution to the role and the work that the European Union can do in the Middle East. Don't waste it. Use it carefully, wisely, use it, but use it in a way that can work on the results that we need. We need symbols. Sometimes symbols are part of the steps, but we need to concentrate on what can make the click in the process and restart it again. The lack of hope, the sense of desperation that is there, not only in Gaza, mainly in Gaza, but also in Tel Aviv, also in Jerusalem, is waiting for a push from our side someone to pinch the bubble and let the desperation out and some hope and future in. I thank you very much.
Dziękuję bardzo pani komisarz za to wystąpienie i tę metaforę na koniec. Zamykam debatę. Głosowanie odbędzie się podczas kolejnej sesji miesięcznej naszego Parlamentu. Kolejnym punktem